Lila Hart always believed her father, Daniel, was the kind of man people trusted without thinking. When he called her kiddo, Lila felt safe, like the world made sense. That feeling cracked on a rainy Thursday. Her phone buzzed while she was paying for gas. Unknown number. She almost ignored it, but something made her swipe. "Hi," a woman said. I'm married to your father." Lila laughed once, out of reflex. "You've got the wrong person." The woman didn't argue. She listed Daniel's birthday. His middle name. The tiny white scar on his chin from a childhood bike crash. Lila could picture it perfectly. "Who are you?" "My name is Claire," the woman said. "I didn't want to call. But things are changing, and you deserve to know. Can we meet? Somewhere quiet." Lila stared through the windshield. Rain beaded the glass. Inside the mini-mart, a boy stocked shelves and hummed to a song only he could hear. Lila's voice sounded far away when it finally returned. "Where?" "Blue Heron Cafe, the next town over. Tomorrow at 10. The call ended. The world didn't explode. Nothing dramatic happened. Life kept moving like nothing had changed. But Lila knew something had. Because if Claire was telling the truth, then Lila's perfect father wasn't just hers. He belonged to someone else too. Maybe to a whole other world. She drove home in silence, the rain tapping like small, patient fingers on the roof. Lila grew up in Harbor Ridge, a small coastal town where secrets usually traveled faster than seagulls. Daniel Hart ran Hart's Hardware on Main Street. The bell above the door had a friendly ring. The store smelled like cedar and twine. There were neat rows of nails, paint chips fanned out like bright fish scales, and a chalkboard that said, "Ask Dan, he knows." He did know. He knew how much sand the softball field needed. He knew Mrs. Carmody preferred the light blue paint, not the medium. He knew which pipes would freeze first. He knew the Bible verses people liked to hear at funerals, and he said them softly, even when no one asked. He also took supplier trips once a month. Lila used to wave from the porch with her mother, Nora, as Daniel tossed his overnight bag in the truck. He always kissed Nora's cheek and tapped the porch post twice for luck. He always said, "Back Sunday night. Be good, kiddo." Sometimes he returned with motel shampoo bottles, the funny kind with tiny caps. Sometimes he brought snow globes. Once he brought Lila a keychain with a pickle on it. "It's ridiculous," he said, grinning. "Made me think of you." They laughed. Lila loved that he noticed little things. As Lila grew older, she noticed other things too. The way he kept 2 calendars, one at the store, one at home, sometimes with different notes. The way his phone lived face down. The way he changed topics when Nora asked about the future. But in a small town, you learn not to tug on every loose thread. Not if the sweater keeps you warm. Lila left for college, came back after, and took a job as a library assistant. She liked order. She liked stories that started somewhere and went somewhere else and told the truth in the middle. Daniel said he was proud. He brought a fern to her apartment and watered it like a pet. So when Claire's voice said, "I'm married to your father," it didn't just break Lila's trust. It put a crack in the way Lila understood stories. It turned the narrator unreliable. It made the quiet town feel suddenly bigger, like there were rooms inside rooms she had never seen. Nora, meanwhile, kept setting 2 spoons beside the sugar bowl, one for tea, one just in case. Lila never asked why. Blue Heron Cafe smelled like coffee and cinnamon. Seagulls shouted outside. Lila chose a corner table with a view of the parking lot. She wanted a clear path to the door, just in case. Claire arrived on time. Mid-40s. Tired eyes, neat hair, a navy cardigan that looked carefully pressed. She held herself like a person who had spent a long time waiting for a shoe to drop. "I don't want to hurt you," Claire said before sitting. "But I can't do this alone anymore." "Tell me," Lila said. Her voice surprised her. It was steadier than she felt. They started with dates. A trade convention 22 years ago. A polite conversation that did not feel dangerous at the time. Phone calls. Weekend visits that turned into longer stretches. He said he was divorced, Claire said. He said you lived with your mom across the state and that you and he were distant. He had photos, but only older ones. He said you didn't like cameras. Lila thought of the dozens of photos on Nora's fridge. Birthday cakes. Halloween costumes. Lila's crooked gap-toothed smile. He had been in some. He had not been in many. He bought a small house for me, Claire continued. Said it kept things simple. Said he didn't like renting. Her smile was brief and sad. He coached our son's soccer team. His name is Jamie. He's 19, in college now. Our daughter is Ella. She's 16. Still at home. Lila felt the shape of a laugh and a sob fighting in her throat. Her father had missed Lila's spring concert when she was 12 because of a supplier emergency. That same spring, he had probably been tying other kids' shoelaces on a soccer field, clapping and calling out, "Good hustle." Why now? Lila asked. Why call me now? Claire exhaled. Because I've started to think he never divorced at all. For years, I believed him. Then I saw a photo of you and him in your town, on a day he told me he was away for work. That's when I knew he'd been living two lives. A third life. The words tasted like metal. Claire slid a single photo across the table. In it, Daniel stood behind a birthday cake with 16 candles. His arm was around Ella. He looked happy. Lila had never seen that shirt. Whether you choose to do anything or not, Claire said, you deserve to know who we are. Seagulls cried again. The coffee steamed. Lila touched the edge of the photo and felt the world tilt, just a few degrees, enough to make every step different. Driving home, Lila's thoughts bumped against each other like boats in a storm. She tried to stack facts neatly, but they slid. Her father had a second family. No, he had built a second family. Years of birthday candles she had not counted. A house she had never seen. A teenage girl with her father's smile. A son with his exact jaw. Anger came in small, sharp bursts. At him, of course. At the way he said back Sunday with a kiss on Nora's cheek. At the way he tapped the porch post twice like it meant he was a man of rituals and not just a man of habits. At herself too. For not asking why his truck sometimes smelled like a different laundry detergent. For thinking 2 calendars was charming. For explaining away the ache she felt on big days he missed. She pulled into her apartment lot and turned off the engine. The sudden quiet made her ears ring. She could picture Nora in the kitchen, lining up spice jars by height, humming without noticing. Nora had always been gentle with the truth, like it was a bird you could crush if you held it wrong. Did Nora know? Had Nora ever asked? Had Lila? The questions pressed close. On her coffee table at home sat a box of old programs from school plays. Lila lifted the lid. There she was as a tree in 4th grade, as a villager in 6th, as a girl who cried on cue in 8th. A faded note slid free, written in Daniel's blocky hand, "So proud of you, kiddo. You make any part the best part." Her chest hurt. That note had always felt like proof. Now it felt like something else, like a line he knew how to write. Lila washed her face. The water ran cold. She dried her cheeks and looked in the mirror. Who am I if he's not who I thought? She asked softly. The answer did not arrive. But something else did, a thin, steady line of resolve. If he could build a secret life, she could build a plan. She needed facts. She needed allies. And somewhere out there, 2 teenagers, Jamie and Ella, deserved more than rumors. Lila started with what she knew, names, ages, a city. She opened her laptop and typed carefully. She found Jamie's college roster first. There he was, #7 midfielder, grinning at the camera. He had Daniel's jawline. He had Claire's eyes. An article from last year quoted his coach from middle school, Dan Hart, praising his work ethic. Lila saved the link, fingers trembling only a little. Ella took longer. Finally, a TikTok profile appeared, private, but the bio matched Claire's last name, and the profile photo showed a girl with a messy bun and a bright, open smile. Lila waited. She did not message. She scrolled through public tags and found a clip her friend had posted. In the background, a man carried grocery bags past a porch railing. The camera caught him only for a second, but the second was enough. Daniel. Same stance. Same easy way of lifting as if things were never heavy. The clip had a timestamp, last weekend. On that night, Nora had texted Lila, "Your dad's stuck at the store. Long day. Save him pie?" Lila had saved the pie. Lila paused the video and took a still. She printed it and slipped it into a plain folder labeled Truth. She added the roster, the article, the birthday photo. The folder felt heavier than paper. On her way to the kitchen, she passed the fern Daniel had given her. Its leaves drooped. She watered it and whispered, "Hang on." The words were half for the plant, half for herself. That night, Lila slept badly. But when she woke, the first thought wasn't panic. It was a plan. She would not confront him screaming. He had years of practice talking over storms. She needed to cut the power quietly first. She slipped the printed still frame into a second envelope, unmarked, and tucked it into her bag. On her lunch break, she walked past the hardware store and into the small lot behind it. Daniel's truck sat there, door unlocked like always. Lila opened the glove box, placed the envelope inside, closed it gently, and left. It wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was a knock on the door of his other life. A reminder, "I see you." The photo in the glove box worked faster than Lila expected. That night at dinner, Daniel was quieter than usual. He complimented Nora's roast chicken twice. He cleared the plates before being asked. His smile had a tremble at the edge. "How was your day?" Nora asked. "Fine," he said. "Busy." Lila sipped water. Her heart pounded anyway. Lila stopped by the store, Nora added. "I saw your truck was out back." Daniel's fork paused halfway to his mouth. "Oh?" He recovered. "Missed you." It would have been easy, so easy, to say it then. To put the photo on the table and watch the color leave his face. But the picture wasn't for Nora yet. Not without a full story. Lila couldn't hand her mother a grenade and hope the pin stayed in. After dinner, Nora went upstairs for a bath. Daniel stayed at the sink, sleeves rolled, hands in suds. "You look tired," he said without turning. His voice had that warm, almost fatherly tone Lila knew too well. The tone that made people lean in and confess. "I met someone," Lila answered. She kept her voice flat. "An old friend of yours." "Claire." The plates clinked. The water hissed. Daniel didn't move for a full second. Then he did the thing he always did, he breathed out slowly, set down the sponge, and turned with open palms. "Lila. Where's this coming from?" "She says she's your wife," Lila said. "She says Jamie and Ella are your kids." He smiled, almost sadly. "You've always had a vivid imagination. You remember college, how you went through that anxious patch. You were sure your roommate hated you because she didn't answer one text. This feels like that. Again." He was using again, tugging Nora's memory like a string he tied years ago. It worked. Nora came back into the kitchen in a robe, hair in a towel, and the first thing she said, before any question, was, "Lila, are you okay?" Lila felt the floor tilt. Daniel put an arm around Nora. "She's stressed," he said softly. "The library's cutting hours. It's been a lot." Humiliation burned hot and quick. Lila stood there, grown and steady, and watched her father turn a truth into her problem. She left before she cried. In the hallway, she heard Daniel's low voice and Nora's worried answer. It sounded like a lullaby for a child who'd had a bad dream. In her car, Lila gripped the wheel. The envelope had not been enough. A photo could be explained away. A daughter could be rewritten as fragile if the narrator spoke with enough confidence. She wiped her eyes. Fine. She would find a new narrator. For 2 days, Lila went quiet. She did not answer Daniel's texts. She answered Nora's with simple hearts and home late messages. She let the anger cool into something harder and more useful. She reopened the truth folder and started mapping time. She drew 2 horizontal lines on paper, our house and their house. Under each, she wrote dates, events, details. On our house, Lila's 13th birthday, missing dad, a note that said supplier trip. On their house, Jamie's age that same year, a soccer tournament 2 towns away, a photo of a team with a coach named Dan. Patterns appeared. The same spring Lila had begged Daniel to come to her school play, he had been at a weekend tournament. The same winter Nora got the flu, he had slept at the store and Ella posted a snowman selfie with dad made the nose crooked on purpose. Lila printed it all. Allies. She needed allies who would not be talked into doubting their own eyes. Claire was one. Maybe Jamie, old enough to read between lines. Ella might need more care, a 16-year-old deserved gentleness even when the truth wasn't gentle. Lila also thought about the town. Daniel's image was strong there. But images cracked fastest when too many people saw the same thing at once. She didn't want a scene, she wanted an unveiling no one could spin. A date presented itself without effort, Daniel's birthday. Nora always invited friends from church and a couple of neighbors. There would be cake and paper plates and a toast. There would be people who knew Daniel's smile and people who trusted Nora's face. Lila opened a new document on her laptop and titled it Final Cut. She outlined steps. Quiet invites. A neutral tone. No yelling. No weapons for Daniel to use, no wild accusations, just the truth standing in a doorway in its own shoes. When she reached the last bullet, she breathed easier for the first time in days. She wasn't the frightened girl in a kitchen anymore. She was a woman with a plan. The week before the party, Lila practiced small risks. She followed Ella's private account with her public one, then liked a video of a cat knocking over a cereal box. It was harmless. It was also a flare in the night. She imagined Daniel seeing the notification on Ella's phone. She imagined him realizing the walls were thinner than he thought. Lila drove by Clare Street once, slowly, just to know the shape of the place. Modest porch. Blue door. Wind chimes. A bike leaned against the steps with a loose handlebar tape, the kind Daniel would fix without being asked. In the library break room, a coworker named Anna asked, "You okay, Lila? You look like you didn't sleep." Lila considered lying. She didn't. Family stuff, she said. Anna nodded, kind. Families are complicated. The word felt like a small mercy. Complicated didn't mean your fault. At home, Lila wrote 2 sets of invitations. The usual list, Nora's church friends, Mr. and Mrs. Carmody, the neighbors who always brought coleslaw. Then a second set, 1 envelope to Claire, 1 each to Jamie and Ella. She kept the wording simple, you deserve to know who he is. 412, Harbor Street. Saturday. 6 p.m. She almost didn't include the time. She almost threw the invites away. Then she sealed them and placed the stamps. Her hand shook, but not from fear. From the weight of doing something that could not be undone. On Friday, she slipped an envelope into Daniel's truck again. This time it held a different photo, Daniel at Jamie's middle school awards night, hand on Jamie's shoulder, pride all over his face. The back of the photo had a date. On Lila's line for that same night, she had written, Dad stuck at store. Burned my popcorn. Still laughed. He sat very still during dinner and told a long story about a customer who wanted nails the length of pencils. Nora laughed. Lila watched his hands. They didn't shake. But he kept them on the table, as if keeping track of them would keep everything else in place too. The party was tomorrow. Nora decorated the living room with string lights and paper fans. She set out a sheet cake with "Happy Birthday, Dan," piped in blue. Lila carried plates to the dining table and set forks like soldiers. People arrived with hugs and casserole dishes. The house filled with the sound of chairs scooting and the soft squeak of new balloons. Daniel wore his good shirt. He made jokes at the door. He hugged Mr. Carmody for a second longer than usual. If he was nervous, he hid it behind the same charm that had carried him through 22 years of double life. At 6:15, the doorbell rang. Lila's stomach flipped. She glanced at Nora, who was pouring sweet tea. Nora smiled at the guests, unaware. Lila opened the door. Claire stood there, pale but steady. Jamie stood beside her, taller than the doorframe, mouth tight. Ella held a gift bag with tissue paper poking out, like she had not known any other way to come except politely. For a heartbeat, Lila wanted to pull them into the hallway and apologize for everything. Instead she stepped back. "Come in." They did. The living room fell quiet in a single breath. Forks hovered. Someone's laugh died in the middle and didn't find its way back. Daniel turned from the punch bowl. His face emptied. "Dan?" Mr. Carmody said slowly. "You gonna introduce?" Lila spoke before Daniel could. "Calm. Clear. Everyone, this is Claire. And these are Jamie and Ella." She looked at Daniel. "Dad's other family." The room made a sound, part gasp, part prayer. Nora set down the pitcher so carefully it didn't even clink. "Dan?" she asked. Just that. His name, with a question folded inside. Daniel opened his mouth. The old lies lined up behind his teeth, ready. Divorce. Long ago. Complicated. Misunderstanding. Stress. He looked around and saw faces of people who had called him dependable for decades. He saw his wife's eyes. He saw Lila, standing straight, not crying, not shouting. He saw Jamie, jaw set like his own. He saw Ella clutch the gift bag, confused and brave at the same time. He couldn't find a story big enough. Claire didn't yell. She didn't need to. "Happy birthday, Daniel," she said. "We brought a card." No one sang. No one moved. Somewhere, a balloon drifted against a lampshade and squeaked. Lila set a single paper plate on the table. "Cake?" she asked into the silence. Then she put down the knife, took her mother's hand, and said to Daniel, as politely as every guest had been to him for 22 years, "Your turn." And she walked out with Nora, past the porch post Daniel used to tap twice for luck. The tap didn't mean anything anymore. Inside, the truth stayed standing by itself, steady on 2 feet. News moved through Harbor Ridge like wind. By Monday, someone at the bakery had heard. By Tuesday, the man at the post office knew enough to say, "Hard week, huh," and slide Lila's mail across the counter without asking for ID. People who had always waved at Daniel now found urgent reasons to look at the ground. The hardware bell still rang, but softer. Nora called a lawyer. She didn't cry in front of Lila. She cried in the shower, where no one had to carry it but the drain. She told Lila she needed a few days at Aunt Carol's, then changed the sheets and packed a small suitcase and left the house in careful order. She kissed Lila's forehead like a blessing before she went. Claire texted Lila the next night, "I'm sorry it had to be loud. Thank you for not making it louder." Lila replied, "You didn't deserve quiet lies. None of us did." Jamie sent a single message, "We should grab coffee sometime." Not to talk about him. To talk about, I don't know, normal stuff. Lila wrote back, "Yeah. soccer or books? Your pick. Ella didn't text. But she followed Lila back and liked a photo of the fern, now perked up from water and sunlight. Daniel tried to explain to the few people who would still listen. He said complicated a lot. He said never meant to hurt anyone until the words wore thin. The town didn't punish him with shouts. It punished him with quiet. It turns out that when a man builds a life from trust, the worst thing that can happen is for the room to stop nodding along. Lila went back to work at the library. She shelved books and helped kids find dog stories and told a high school student where the scholarship forms were. She went home and opened the truth folder, then closed it again. It had done its job. She didn't need to carry it everywhere like a stone. One evening at dusk, she stood on the porch and looked at the 2 small dents on the post where Daniel used to tap. She didn't touch them. She didn't need to make them mean anything. Not anymore. She used to think the worst thing a person could do to a family was lie. Now she knew worse, making the family live inside that lie, breathe it, decorate it, invite guests into it. The kindest thing she'd ever done was kick out the walls and let air in, even if it knocked everyone back at first. Moral: a secret doesn't just corrupt the one who hides it, it infects everyone forced to live inside the lie. The truth stings once, lies poison forever. Thanks for listening. If this story hit close to home, you're not alone. Tap like, subscribe, and ring the bell for more true-style karma and revenge stories. And if you've ever uncovered a family secret, share your story in the comments. Your voice might help someone else find theirs.